Hi again. Walter Rauschenbusch is concluding his chapter, The Work of Social Reconstruction in Christianity and the Social Crisis. This is page 207. Modern Christianity everywhere tends toward the separation of church and state, but when the church is no longer dependent on the state for its appointments and its income and the execution of its will, it is by that much freer to champion the better order against the chief embodiment of the present order. We shall see later that even when church and state are separated, the church may still be in bondage to the powers of the world. It can still be used as a spiritual posse to read the riot act to the rebellious minds of men. But as the formal control of the church by the state slackens and the clerical interests are withdrawn from politics, the church is freer to act as the tribune to the people, the tribune of the people, and the state is more open to the moral and humanizing influence of Christianity. At the same time, the political emancipation and increasing democracy of the people is bound to draw the larger social and political problems within the interests of the masses, and there is sure to be a silent extension of the religious interest and motive to social and political duties. In the past, the church was dominated by the clergy, and it was monarchical in its organization. The Reformation brought a slow turn on both points. The power of the hierarchy was broken. The laity began to rise to increase participation in church life. That in itself ensured an increasing influence of Christianity on secular life. At the same time, the Protestant bodies, in varying degrees, reverted toward democracy and organization. Those Protestant bodies which constitute the bulk of Protestantism in America and of the free churches in England all have the essence of church democracy. Even the churches with episcopal government are affected by the spirit of democratic self-government. The Roman Church in America itself has not escaped this influence. All this lays the churches open to democratic sympathies, provided they are not merely organizations of the possessing classes. The intellectual prerequisites for social reconstruction were lacking formerly. They are now at hand. Travel and history are breaking the spell of existing conditions and are telling even the common man that social relations are plastic and variable. We have the new sciences of political economy and sociology to guide us. It is true, political economy in the past has misled us often, but it too is leaving its sinful laissez-faire ways and preparing to serve the Lord and human brotherhood. All the biblical sciences are now using the historical method and striving to put us in the position of the original readers of each biblical book. But as the Bible becomes more lifelike, it becomes more social. We used to see the sacred landscape through allegorical interpretation, as through a piece of yellow bottle glass. It was very golden and wonderful, but very much apart from our everyday modern life. The Bible hereafter will be the people's book in a new sense. For the first time in religious history, we have the possibility of so directing religious energy by scientific knowledge that a comprehensive and continuous reconstruction of social life in the name of God is within the bounds of human possibility. And here's Rauschenbusch's conclusion to this chapter. To a religious man, the contemplation of the larger movements of history brings a profound sense of God's presence and overruling power. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. That's a direct quote from James Russell Lowell's The Present Crisis. Christ is immanent in humanity and is slowly disciplining the nations and lifting them to share in his spirit. By great processes of self-purification, the alien infusions in Christianity have been eliminated, and Christianity itself is being converted to Christ. But all these larger movements by which the essential genius of Christianity is being set free have also equipped it for a conscious, regenerating influence on the common life of the race. It is now fitter for its social mission than ever before. At the same time, when Christianity has thus attained to its adolescence and moral maturity, there is a piercing call from the world about it, summoning all moral strength and religious heroism to save the Christian world from social strangulation and death. That call will be the subject of the next chapter. The converging of these two lines of development is providential. We're standing at the turning of the ways. We are actors in a great historical drama. It rests upon us to decide if a new era is to dawn in the transformation of the world into the kingdom of God, or if Western civilization is to descend to the graveyard of dead civilizations, and God will have to try once more. Well, that's the first ominous note that's been sounded in this chapter, and I'm glad it's at the end. So his next chapter is called The Present Crisis. So even in 1907, before the outbreak of World War I, which surprised many, I would say most in the West, even before that he was seeing that we were at a crossroads. Put a link into something that Rauschenbusch hasn't yet talked about at all, as far as I can recall. In this entire book, we've done about half of it now. In the whole book, he's not mentioned the miracle of the rebirth of Israel. The Zionist movement had already started at this point, and of course Jerusalem would be recaptured in World War I, about 10 years after the publication of this book, and of course Israel would be politically reborn a generation after that. So I put a link into a video we did, Who Has History Vindicated? David Barron, who was a contemporary of Rauschenbusch and wrote from the standpoint of the prophets of the Old Testament for the most part. Who has history vindicated? David Barron or The Watchtower?